You're 45% more likely to die from ignoring this one thing. That number isn't made up. It comes from a study of over 300,000 patients, a staggering number that highlights the severity of the issue. The study's findings are a stark reminder that avoidance can have deadly consequences. As you sit in the comfort of your own home, surrounded by the familiar sounds and smells of daily life, it's hard to imagine that something as simple as ignoring a problem could lead to such drastic outcomes. Here's the thing, when people avoid bad news, they don't just feel safer, they actually make the danger worse. The feeling of safety is just an illusion, a temporary reprieve from the stress and anxiety that comes with facing the truth. But what if avoidance is the real threat? What if, by looking away, we're not protecting ourselves, but rather, putting ourselves in greater danger? The thought sends a shiver down your spine, a cold realization that the comfort of ignorance is just that, ignorance. Let's start with the name, the Ostrich Effect. You've probably heard that ostriches bury their heads in the sand when scared, a comical image that's been etched in our collective consciousness. Scientists used to think that was true, but turns out it's not. Ostriches don't actually do that. But humans, we do it all the time, don't we? We avoid the truth, we look away, and we pretend that the problem doesn't exist. The smell of freshly brewed coffee fills the air as you sit at your kitchen table, staring blankly at the wall, trying to avoid the reality of your situation. In 2009, researchers at the University of California tracked investors during a market crash, a time of great uncertainty and financial turmoil. They found something shocking: the more the market dropped, the less people checked their portfolios. Even when they knew they should, even when their money was disappearing, they just stopped looking. The sound of silence is deafening, as if the lack of action is a palpable thing, a weight that presses down on your shoulders. That's the ostrich effect in action. Avoiding information to reduce stress sounds smart, right? But here's the catch: avoidance doesn't make the problem go away, it just makes you blind to it. And that blindness, it can kill you, a harsh reality that's difficult to swallow. Remember that study about the 45% higher death rate? It wasn't about skydivers or smokers, it was about people who avoided medical tests, colonoscopies, mammograms, blood work. The ones who skipped the bad news lived shorter lives, not because the disease was worse, but because they waited too long to act. The memories of loved ones who've passed away come flooding back, a bittersweet reminder of the importance of facing the truth. Here's why this happens: your brain has a built-in alarm system. When it senses danger, it floods your body with stress chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline. They're supposed to help you fight or run. But when the danger is information, like a test result or a bank statement, your brain treats it the same way. It wants to escape, so it tells you to look away. The feeling of anxiety is overwhelming, a knot in your stomach that refuses to untangle. And for a moment, it works. The stress fades, you feel better, but the problem is still there, growing, spreading unchecked. In 2016, a team at the University of Amsterdam ran an experiment. They gave people a choice: get bad news now, or wait and maybe get worse news later. Most chose to wait, even when they knew the news would probably get worse, even when they knew delaying would cost them money. The sound of a ticking clock echoes in the background, a reminder that time is running out. They just didn't want to know. The thought is unsettling, a realization that we often prioritize short-term comfort over long-term consequences. That's the ostrich effect at its most dangerous. It tricks you into thinking ignorance is safety, but ignorance is just another word for vulnerability. The feeling of vulnerability is uncomfortable, a sense of exposure that makes you want to retreat. So how do you break the cycle? How do you stop looking away and start facing the truth? The answer is not an easy one, but it's a necessary one. First, recognize the pattern. When you feel the urge to look away, pause, ask yourself, is this avoidance, or is this self-care? The question hangs in the air, a moment of introspection that requires honesty. Second, start small. Face one uncomfortable truth this week. A bank balance, a doctor's appointment, a difficult conversation, not because it's fun, but because it's the only way to take control. The thought of taking control is empowering, a sense of agency that's hard to ignore. And third, remember this: the ostrich effect doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the people around you. A study in 2020 found that parents who avoided bad news about their kids' health made worse decisions, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know. The weight of responsibility is crushing, a realization that our actions have consequences that extend far beyond our own lives. Here's the thing about avoidance: it feels like protection, but it's actually surrender. Every time you look away, you give the problem more power. Every time you face it, you take that power back. The market crash study had one more finding: the investors who checked their portfolios daily, even when the news was bad, lost less money, not because they were smarter, but because they acted sooner. The sound of a door creaking open is a metaphor for the possibilities that await, a chance to take control and face the truth. So here's your challenge this week: face one uncomfortable truth, just one. Open the email you've been avoiding, make the call you've been dreading, look at the number you've been ignoring. The thought is daunting, but the reward is worth it, a sense of freedom that comes with facing the truth. 'Cause here's the real surprise: the 45% higher death rate, it wasn't about the disease, it was about the delay. The people who faced the truth lived longer, not because they were braver, but because they gave themselves a chance. Clock ticks on, a reminder that time is running out, but it's not too late. You can still make a change, you can still face the truth. The feeling of uncertainty is still there, but it's no longer paralyzing, it's a catalyst for action. As you sit in the silence, surrounded by the darkness of uncertainty, you realize that the only way to move forward is to face the truth, to confront the reality of your situation, and to take control of your life. Face one uncomfortable truth this week to take control of your life.